Alright, so today we're going to be doing the clock lab. Now what this lab is the combination of vitamin C, colorless iodine, hydrogen peroxide, and starch. This lab requires two solutions. Solution A, which includes vitamin C tablets, either have to crush down 2 1,000 milligrams or 4 of the 500 milligrams, and that's the one that I personally had. So I had to use 4 tablets, crushing them down into a powder. Next, I placed my vitamin C powder into a cup and mixed in about 60 milliliters of distilled water. And I mixed this thoroughly, but the solution was not going to become completely dissolved due to any other fillers within the tablets. Then I proceeded to place a few filters into a funnel, and then taking the vitamin C solution and pouring that through the filter into a different container. So all that would come out would be a clear liquid, and any other particles in the tablet that wouldn't dissolve would be left out. After that solution was completely filtered through, I proceeded to add 25 milliliters of iodine tincture. After the solution became colorless, I added roughly around 300 to 400 milliliters of distilled water to get a total of 500 milliliters in the container. Now that solution A is completed, I moved on to solution B, which consisted of taking 0.4 grams of cornstarch into a container and adding roughly around 350 milliliters of distilled water. I then proceeded to microwave the solution until it was close to boiling, and then took the solution and filtered it through a few coffee filters into a different container so that any cornstarch that wasn't dissolved will be left behind. After the cornstarch was completely filtered through, I added 150 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide. Now that solutions A and B are complete, I proceeded to dump half of solution A and half of solution B into a different container so they would become combined and would eventually see a color change. In this lab, there are two reactions occurring. The first being that hydrogen peroxide wants to oxidize the I- back to colored iodine, but the absorbic acid wants to reduce it to I2 back to I-. And the second reaction involves vitamin C being eventually consumed due to the excess amount of hydrogen peroxide. I2 starts to accumulate, which leads to the combination of I2 plus I-, which results in triiodine complex, and this complexes with starch. When the two solutions were combined, it did take a bit longer than the video example for a color change to occur, but I think this is due to the solutions being at room temperature instead of at a higher temperature or a higher concentration. And this is the final product after the color change occurred. Here you will see the solution being a greenish color, which occurred shortly after the color change. After waiting a few minutes longer, you can see that the solution has now become a dark brown.